Welcome to the Really Likable Geeks podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Stuart.
And this is the podcast where we're talking about nerd stuff and things that keep us from going outside, like video games, comic books, anime, and other nerd things alike. This episode of the Really Likable Geeks podcast is brought to you by Audible. Thank you, Audible, for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Book of the week, Stuart.
The book of this week is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Igor.
Mary Shelley began writing Frankenstein when she was only 18. At once a gothic thriller, a passionate romance, and a cautionary tale about the dangers of science. Frankenstein tells the story of committed science student Victor Frankenstein, obsessed with discovering the cause of generation and life, and bestowing animation upon lifeless matter. Frankenstein assembles a human being from stolen body parts, but upon bringing it to life, he recoils in isolation and loneliness. The once innocent creature turns to evil and unleashes a campaign of murderous revenge against his creator, Frankenstein. Frankenstein, an instant bestseller and an important ancestor of both the horror and science fiction genres, not only tells a terrifying story, but also raises profound, disturbing questions about the very nature of life and the place of humankind within the cosmos. What does it mean to be human? What responsibilities do we have to each other? How far can we go in tampering with nature? In our age filled with news of organ donation, genetic engineering, and bioterrorism, these questions are more relevant than ever.
They are.
That's fair.
I think
Sorry.
one of my favorite parts about Frankenstein doesn't actually have anything to do with the book itself. It was that
What's that?
Mine too.
Mary Shelley and her husband, Lord Percy, and a couple friends of theirs, some other poets and authors, like really renowned people of the age, got together one night, did a bunch of drugs. And,
Cool, as one does.
Yeah, as one does in Victorian England, and challenged each other to create the best scary story.
Uh-huh.
And Mary Shelley came up with Frankenstein.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was a bet. Mm-hmm. I love it.
And it became like one of the most iconic stories in like
Yes.
horror. Wow.
Yep.
We need to make more bets.
I know, man.
That's what I'm getting
Yeah,
from this.
I love that.
Bet.
Bet, as Brian would say. Bet.
Have something to do with like she was a woman and like wasn't there like dispute that she didn't write it with her husband?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because a woman could never write a
Yes.
book as well as a man could.
Yeah, think
That's-
about how long ago that was.
That's where that came up
Yeah.
from.
Well, that and it was still like
Also, her husband was a very famous author and poet at the time as well.
By the way, I'm just gonna say this randomly. So during his ad read, I took a hit of his vape thing. That is terrible. How do you smoke on that thing, man?
It tastes like tobacco.
Oh man, that ruined my. I was really trying
Sorry,
hard.
it's not like filled with fruit and rainbows
It's
and
delicious.
sunshine.
It's delicious.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't expecting it to be like that. I
It
was
tastes like tobacco.
I almost died. You know what's funny? What I still think is interesting about Frankenstein, all these years later, people still believe that Frankenstein is the monster. All
Yeah,
this
it's
time
such-
later.
It's such a random
It's crazy.
misconception
I
about
see
it.
it.
I see why,
Well, it's
but
it's the same thing with, and to completely go off topic with the horror, but the nerdy Zelda and Link.
Yeah.
The name of the game is Legend of Zelda, so the main character that you see the entire game,
You figured
for
Zelda.
someone who doesn't play the game, goes, "Oh, it's Zelda."
No, it is not.
I mean,
Some
technically, no.
some people
would.
some people would make the argument that Victor Frankenstein was the real
He is
monster.
the
yeah,
monster.
no, he is the monster.
I mean,
yeah,
he
totally.
brought
Think
back.
about what he did.
He unwillingly brought back to life this person who had died, and who,
Yeah.
whether
Was
there
there-
was, whether
who was
there
the person?
wasn't, it was cobbled together from different.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
parts.
was there an actual like reason for the parts that he chose?
No, there
I can't
was.
even
There
remember.
was. The person actually had a name.
Don't do it.
Abby.
Oh my gosh. I had a
Abby
feel-
something.
I had a feeling that was coming at some point.
I
But yeah,
had
it's just kind of interesting.
an abnormal brain.
into a 6', 300-pound gorilla.
And with Frankenstein, I know we're saying on this for a minute, but like with Frankenstein has come so many great other spin-offs of the story of Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein.
Yes, Young Frankenstein
Young
is a
Frankenstein.
classic,
You know,
funny
you
spin.
know, yeah, Frankenstein.
the,
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Walk this way.
And the very unfortunate Frankenstein movie that came out a few
Ooh.
years ago.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror Picture
Yes.
Show.
Yeah, that has
Which was
some-
great.
Based completely upon Frankenstein.
Let's
Love
not
it.
go that far.
You don't like Rocky Horror Picture Show? It was
fantastic.
fantastic.
Oh my god, it was terrible.
It was amazing. What is? Are you?
I'm not even kidding. I hated that movie.
What?
What?
How?
What's wrong with it? Did you ever finish watching it?
Yes, I finished watching it.
Well, how come
What
you?
was the reason?
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
reason?
You know what? Honestly, I'm not sure I can put it into words. It's just this like,
Here we go.
no, like it's literally
I
just
thought-
while I was watching it, I did not like it.
Like legitimately.
Legitimately.
Really?
I mean, I can watch it. It's not like it's unwatchable. I will admit that the way they did it, it's a good movie. But in my eyes, while I'm watching it, it's garbage.
Wow.
I can't do it.
You're talking about the Tim Curry
Tim
version.
Curry,
The musical.
Meatloaf,
Really?
the musical. Yes, I know. I've seen it. The cult classic. I don't
I've
like
never met anyone
Me
that
neither.
didn't like
it. I
it.
can't stand it.
I guess you can't be in the podcast anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm sorry.
Goodbye.
Our producer, who
sorry.
What did you say not too long ago? That you were one of the people who thought that
Link is Zelda.
Link is Zelda.
I've never played any of those games or anything to do with it. So I have an excuse. You've seen the movie and you just hate it.
And that's a personal opinion. I've earned this seat.
Not
I mean,
this
I'm not
society.
Matt. I'm not saying that like I hate you or anything, but like I've honestly never
But, like,
met
I
anyone
hate
who's
you.
never liked that movie, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I just can't stand
Just
it.
a good.
But I will completely agree. It's a well done movie.
Anyways, my point was
Crazy.
that it's based off of Frankenstein.
You're absolutely
Yes,
right.
You
absolutely.
are right. Yes.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever met anyone that didn't care for that movie.
Yeah.
Just didn't like it.
It's something new. Like
Strange.
I mean, I will definitely.
weird.
Oh, that did come through.
Wow, that shook the table.
Black helicopters circling
Fly over.
us. They found us
Wait,
in our secret
are
base.
you kidding me? I say I don't like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and the government's here within 3 minutes.
Yeah, they're coming.
Lord,
They're
like-
coming for you.
Kill him.
Everyone loves it. Science fiction
Yeah.
double feature is just one of my favorite songs of all time, musical or otherwise.
the
Yes.
songs are enjoyable. The movie itself is well done, but I just
don't
like
like
it.
All right,
That's crazy.
that's fair.
I mean, I will not say
Respect
that
the
it is
game.
a garbage movie, but
I respect the fact that
don't
you
like
can like just come out and say that though, because like a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people would actually just come out and be like, I hate that. Like, you know,
you
so
can
it's
respect
good.
that because in this particular setting, with our particular audience, me coming out and saying that,
That's pretty bold.
okay, I only have like 20 followers on Twitter. I'm probably going to lose 15 of them just right there, just like that. I already lost Stuart. That's what he just did.
They're gonna
he just
come.
unfollowed me.
They're gonna come and follow me and him now because they're like they like Rocky Horror.
All right, so what are we talking about this week?
Well, since we were just talking about Frankenstein, I think we should just continue down that trend and follow that yellow brick road and talk about scary books in our Halloween October spooktacular.
And there has been a lot of books.
There have been a lot
A
of
lot of
scary books.
fantastic
Yeah,
horror novels.
amazing. Like there
And
really has
some
been.
that weren't
Now, I
quite
stated-
so fantastic.
When we were talking about doing this episode, I stated that like I hadn't really read too many horror books, but I have read some, you know, so I can, you know, I'm gonna try where I can and understand some stuff. But I think I've read like the main ones. You know, I've read it. You know, I've read.
I have not.
Oh, you haven't read it? Oh, that's good. I've read Boogeyman. You know, I've read, you know, Tommy Knockers from, you know, Stephen King, all the like great books, of course. 3 from Ted Decker, Red Black, you know, those books. They're great books. But I don't know. I never like, I'd rather, like, I don't know. I read some books that like I had heard were scary. And like when I read like horror books, I just, like, I don't, it's almost like when I read it, I don't get it almost. But when I watch it, it's like, there's so many aspects to it that I feel like I'm actually like involved.
You're more of a
when I read a
visual
book,
medium.
it's just kind of like I'm flipping through I don't get like, whoa, we get like what? Comics? Well, I don't really read comics either. Like we've had this discussion too. Like,
I think.
Okay, well,
I mean,
how
just
about-
going back to.
but I mean, I've read enough to where I can.
Well,
One
I
of-
was going
you
to
know,
jump to the
but-
manga. We were talking about on the right to left, the Promised Neverland. How did that do for you? Were you actually like a little bit freaked out?
That was gnarly. Very much so.
But so that was like the imagery really does it for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not one of those guys like, there's no pictures. But like, no.
I mean, that's what you're saying, but go ahead.
But like, I don't know. I think it's different. Like, they're great books. I read them like, yeah, it's good books. But some people would be like,
But they don't give you
I
the
read it
attention.
and I was scary. And I was like, when? Like, I get I get why it could be, but like, I didn't get freaked out for it.
You don't feel the tension while
However,
you're reading.
I will say there was only one book that did do that for me, and I think it was just because of the context of it. But it was Boogeyman by Stephen King. It freaked me out.
Really, that one?
That one freaked me out.
Did you read The Shining?
No, I never read The Shining.
Okay, that might be why.
So, but,
Shining is terrifying.
is it?
book. Yeah.
Do you have it?
Probably.
Can I borrow it?
Yeah. Go for
Cool.
it.
Hey,
Yeah.
I got an idea.
Shining's terrifying.
Get on Audible.
Get it on Audible.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should listen to some horror novels.
If they got the right.
Oh, if you're
I should
gonna
try that.
listen, then if you don't do Stephen King, you have to do H.P. Lovecraft, because
Okay.
a bunch of the stuff for Lovecraft on Audible is the radio dramas.
If they have the right reader,
And they're
those
fa-
are so good.
The
Really?
radio dramas are fantastic. The Mountains of Madness is freaky.
Really?
Yeah, Mountains of Madness is awesome. They have that on Audible, and it's amazing.
Okay.
Audible.
Check them out.
No,
Setting up to scare the crap out
well,
of me.
okay, because I know everyone. If like we went like, oh, what's your favorite horror writer? I'm sure like 9 out of 10 people would be like Stephen King. Stephen King.
That's-
King.
I think a lot of people
Because
do that
he's
because it's
just-
cliche.
But he's just so prolific. Like he writes.
He's consistent, too.
So many books.
He's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Too.
and
He's writing.
and he's
they are
a fantastic
mostly
writer.
pretty good.
But honestly, to me, the quintessential horror writer is H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh yeah.
Because to me, Lovecraft just has such a style, and just like
The man was unhinged.
the things that he wrote about, like even today, are so original.
The guy was unhinged to come up with that.
Well, and here's why. He's quoted as saying the oldest and strongest fear is fear of the unknown. And that to me is just, there's all of his books in a nutshell. Because what he wrote about was just so, just not only, it wasn't just psychological. It wasn't just man versus himself, but it was also man versus God in his outer form. And like he created, a lot of people don't know this, but the Necronomicon was not a real book.
Well, of course not.
It was fictionalized from Lovecraft. He made that up. But the Necronomicon is so widespread across so many different stories and
genres.
media
Yeah.
that people just like, oh yeah, it's a ancient book that like rumored. It's like, no, that's not ancient at all. Lovecraft came up with that. And the fact that his stories were so popularized is what made people believe that it was older than it actually was. Like, I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't actually.
So
Yeah, he
because
invented
it
that.
spread,
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, Cthulhu is such like an iconic
yeah.
Yeah.
just character.
Yeah.
And
Cthulhu
the
is
thing
Famous
is,
God of the deep.
Yeah.
and the thing is you never actually, no character ever confronts him.
No.
It's only in the kind of abstract, like, oh, Call of Cthulhu doesn't actually like have Cthulhu in
No.
it. He's just spoken about.
Yeah.
You know
Because
what I
if
mean?
he happens, it's game over.
Because
Essentially.
because generally most of Lovecraft's novels are written from a post perspective.
Right.
So it's after the main character has already faced some scary, crazy thing, and he's gone insane, and now he's writing about how he went insane.
Huh.
And I think that perspective of like,
When you put it into context like that, then that's like even more.
It's a crazy
terrifying.
man's
Yeah.
journal.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Like that's most of his works
Makes
are
a madman.
most of his works are told from the post perspective.
Yeah.
Like after, like I went to Innsmouth and I saw such horrors that my mind could not conceive. Ungeometrical, non-Euclidean lines
Yeah.
that tore my mind asunder. Like it's just fantastic.
I mean,
Like,
imagine,
dang, dude.
like
preach
the
it.
prose, the prose in it are fantastic.
Imagine
it's so amazing.
you're wandering through the woods and you find this old beat up journal and you're flipping through it, reading it, and all the stuff you're reading about is absolutely insanely out of this world crazy. Like it can't even possibly be real. but there's just enough reality in it that maybe it could.
Right.
And if it was, what is even out there waiting for me right
Yeah.
now? Like, I should not have opened this. This is terrifying.
Yeah.
And
I'd rather live not knowing.
Yeah.
I forget which novel, which story it was. I think it was like Dagmouth or the Dagon.
I thought you were going to say Dogma for some reason. I was like, that was not scary.
That was not a horror movie. It was great, but it was not a horror movie.
Where you realize at the end of reading it that the writer has now infected you with his madness, and that's how he was spreading it, was by tricking people into
Right.
reading his
You're
saga.
like, and now,
Oh,
ta-da.
now,
that's
yeah.
messed up.
It's
That's some
so
twisted
awesome.
nonsense.
Love it.
Oh, I love it.
Like I
That's twisted
had
AF.
I love
Yeah.
it.
That's a great
on
idea.
my iPod, I had maybe 20 or 30 hours of Lovecraft radio dramas. And they're all fantastic. I think because some of his short stories are only like to hear them read or to hear the radio dramas are like 15 minutes.
Right.
I forget the one of the ones that like stuck with me. It was this curious town that like in America
Little
that
town.
full of they were full of little
Yeah,
people.
full of little people.
But they respected and revered cats. Like in this town, there was just
So, ancient Egypt.
full
I'm
of
already
cats.
out.
All right.
Egypt.
And like everyone just took care of the cats.
Sure.
Like cats were just everywhere, and like people like loved the cats.
Cats are
and they would
godly, you
just-
must treat them with care.
They just roamed around. And then one day, like a merchant came to town, and his wagon rolled over one of the little cats.
Oh,
and
crap.
Killed
Oh,
it.
and they.
And one of the little beggar boys from the town came and told him, like, cursed him, like, you
Oh.
won't leave this town. The guy's like, get out of here. And he smacked the little kid.
Oh, crap.
And
Ran over a
the
cat and he
next day-
smacked the kid. Over 2, bro.
The next day, like, when all the people went to feed the cats, none of the cats would eat. Like, they all seemed to be full. And no one could find the merchant. Yeah.
Right when you said feed, I was like,
That wasn't even the people.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
cat's aff.
Yeah. So many of
Oh
those
my
are just
gosh.
fantastic. I love Lovecraft.
I'm going to
It's-
check that one
it's
out.
so
That
good.
sounds gnarly. You told me, but now I want to read it.
Yeah. His
Have someone read it to you.
Someone who I have read a lot of, I didn't even, was thinking about it, was Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh,
Right.
Edgar's
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
That dude was out of his mind, too.
Yeah, that dude was out of his mind.
Out of his
crazy.
mind. Like, of course, The Raven, but the cask
Armar.
of,
The Cask of Amontillado.
yeah. What is that?
Yeah, that's a great revenge
gnarly.
tale.
Yeah.
That's like the greatest revenge tale.
That's the one of the brick wall.
yes,
And he,
yes.
just,
Bricks.
dude.
Cask of Amontillado
yeah.
is about a man getting revenge against another nobleman who slighted him in public, and he does that
It's from
by
the perspective of the guy who was done wrong.
yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So he lures this other nobleman into his wine cellar, and it's a vast wine cellar because he's rich, fop, and with the promise of this extremely rare vintage of Amontillado, which was
Yeah.
a very expensive and rare wine. And so once he
So he was like,
he
ooh.
gets him down and it starts getting more and more dank and damp, he knows that the guy has a lung problem because of his like love of wine. He's got lung problems. He had the same thing that Shakespeare died of.
Yeah.
Was too much pickled fish and wine.
Yep.
It raises
It's
your
delicious.
nitrates and makes you hard to breathe.
Yeah.
So he knows that the damp air is going to make him like start heaving and whatnot. And so once he gets him like deep into his wine cellar, he brings him to this one little like nook that he has, and he drags him in, and he starts bricking him up. So he bricks him into his wine cellar.
Yeah.
By far, though, I think
It's actually, have you ever been to? You've been to Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion ride. The guy who's got his hand outside and he's doing the brick wall. That's an homage to that. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Edgar was out of his mind.
In fact, that's not the only Poe reference in
No, there's a
the
couple.
Haunted Mansion.
There's a couple there.
The other one is when you're going past the main ballroom is about the Mask of the Red Death,
The dancing ghost.
which is my
yeah.
which is my favorite Poe.
Is it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Just the
There's
fact
quite a
that
few on there.
death came that night. And they pull his mask.
Dude, it's gnarly.
Freaks me out still.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Edgar Allan Poe had, he was really
Issues?
He's that dude.
Well, I mean, how
how-
sane would you be if 3 of your wives died?
Fair.
Yeah,
You know.
you've gone through some stuff.
Yeah. He was
But
also
some of that stuff.
Honestly, he was a
I probably
soldier
wouldn't
and he
be
was a
that sane.
sailor.
I probably wouldn't be that sane if my wife died. Period.
I think
The end.
about that though.
Raccoon as a
proven.
pet.
It's proven that
kinda
like
cool.
real
Raccoons are
life
adorable.
events affect someone who is like creating any form of content.
Mm-hmm.
How it affects that. Like if we're creating this,
This
if something
explains a lot about
traumatic would
Pablo
happen,
Picasso.
some things would probably change. Yeah, anything.
And actually, you know what?
It's
Now that you
crazy
say
how that works.
Art critics, well, I don't want to say critics, the art world, like they'll talk about artists having a blue period or a whatever periods of time that they had more melancholy tones or whatever, but like real life would have shaped what they were creating.
Right.
So the same would go for authors.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen King has always said that his best horror stories are based on his nightmares. Oh, H.R. Geiger is
H.R.
another
Geiger.
great example. Famous. I mean, he's not an author, but he is a fantastic artist. And his paintings and drawings and his artwork is just so visceral. If you don't know who H.R. Geiger is, he's the guy who designed the alien from Aliens. He did a bunch of other like really famous movie monsters. His artwork is absolutely insane.
Absolutely.
He has his own museum in Denmark, and it's probably
Did not know that.
the most terrifying building I've ever not been in.
That's fair.
The pictures, it's in Switzerland, I'm sorry. And it's a bar. Oh, and the bar is like, the chairs in the bar are like the seats that the space jockeys were in Alien.
Sick.
And there's aliens, like the xenomorphs, like crawling down the side of the building.
That's kind of
It's
cool.
insane. Have you seen this? The Geiger Museum? Oh, it's fantastic.
Okay.
You know that I'm sorry, random.
Okay, go for it.
But what's that that mansion that the lady went all crazy in and just kept building? Just kept
Oh, the
building.
Winchester Mystery House.
Winchester Mystery House.
yeah, in San
Did you hear
Francisco.
that like they found another room?
Yeah.
Yes.
They were just like, well, okay then. Like there's still rooms that they haven't found.
It's
Yeah.
near Frisco. It's in
Yep.
the Bay
Yeah.
Area.
They were like doing
I've
a
been
tour or the guys were cleaning or something. And they were like, have we ever been in here before? And they're like, I don't think so. And they were like, huh.
Well, all right then.
They're like, and I think the guy literally was just like, either the house is still building itself or we just missed this. Like,
Yeah, missed
there's
a
just-
room.
They missed a room.
Missed a room for almost a century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
I-
crazy. One of my favorite books too, though, that I have read. I'm going right back into it, and I'll let you jump in.
I mean,
but,
I was going to talk about books, so go for
yeah,
it. Because I'll segue right off of you.
Secret Window, Secret Garden, Stephen King was amazing. The book was great. Obviously, the movie, The Secret Window, with Johnny Depp.
I watched that when
You
I
know.
was like 9, and then I watched The Clockwork Orange right after.
Oh my god!
What a
This-
weird,
Wow.
what
You
a
went like,
weird combination.
This explains so much
Wow.
about your psyche.
I watched My Little Pony, and then I watched
I
Clockwork
was with my
Orange.
uncle,
Like,
and he's like, "You
jeez.
pick what you want." And I was like, "These two."
Clockwork Orange is gnarly.
Alex
Yeah.
Burrows is a
Yeah.
fantastic author.
I love Clockwork Orange, by the way.
And
But
I the only thing I don't care for the movie is because Kubrick changed the ending.
right, and it was bad.
I mean, they're both fantastic endings.
I mean, you definitely got the gist, but it was just like.
But
meh.
Alex Burrows had a very different ending.
yes,
Like because
Yes.
in the Stanley Kubrick version, it ends with him in the hospital and him like not at all being not a psychopath.
right, eating corn.
Yeah, and like, oh, now I can do whatever I want because I was wronged and like
Yeah,
I can like still continue to be like a horrible person that I am.
yeah,
And in the Burroughs novel, the last chapter, there's like a 10-year jump. And it's him
Yeah.
older and he still has these like violent tendencies and emotions, but he's learned to repress them
Yeah.
and keep them inside until what he says is an appropriate time.
Right.
Which who
And the
knows what
movie,
that
like
means.
Dun,
the
dun,
movie,
dun.
like I know the movie wasn't received very well. I think it has like 2 stars or something, like a star. and a
Clockwork
half.
Orange?
No. Secret Window.
Oh, I was like,
No, I'm sorry. I went right back
that's
into
Kubrick. I was like, every Kubrick movie
Sorry.
is well received.
No, I went right back into Secret Window. I'm
Even
sorry.
the terrible.
Even the moon landing.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, Secret Window. You know,
We could talk an
I know
hour
it
about
wasn't
that.
I know, right?
received very well, but
Maybe we will.
you know, I did enjoy it. I thought Johnny Depp did really well in that film, of course, and I thought it was okay, but
John Turturro did great.
he did fantastic.
I loved it.
But you know, yeah, it doesn't stay true to the book. You know,
There's
Secret
no-
Window, Secret Garden is, if you read the book, it is. That's a pretty gnarly book, I will say.
There's not a lot
in comparison to the movie, huh? You want me to give the synopsis?
Yeah,
Look it
I
up
mean,
real quick.
There's not a whole lot of Stephen King
I feel like that's one of his like
movie adaptations.
his like more under the radar one.
Yeah.
Secret Window, Secret Garden.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of his adaptations that stay completely true to the source material.
Which is true of a lot of movies.
Dark
period.
Tower.
Let's see here. Here's
Wizard did.
Here's a quick summary of Secret Window, Secret Garden. Obviously by Stephen King. And it was included into the collection 4 Past Midnight, which was great as well. Mort Rainey is visited by a man who takes the name of John Shooter, with a manuscript which proves to be an almost exact copy of a story that himself wrote and published some years earlier. John leaves Mort a copy of his manuscript. Mort reads the manuscript and discovers the name of John's version is Secret Window, Secret Garden, which is different from Mort's sowing season. The other difference is the ending. Mort is revisited by Shooter another day. Mort discovers that he wrote his version before Shooter. Shooter demands proof and gives Mort 3 days to get it. Overnight, he kills Mort's cat with a screwdriver, all that. Dude, it's
To
gnarly.
the door.
Yeah, it's... Ugh. And it's funny, I was watching the movie in that scene. I was like, oh. It's pretty insane. So, and there's like... I don't want to give too much away with it, but... There's so many things with like his wife and everything, and like
The
just-
townspeople, the sheriff.
yeah, there's a lot. Let's see here. I'm gonna find a different description of this one. So when first confronted by John Shooter, famous novelist, Mort Rainey sees him as nothing more than an avid, albeit slightly eccentric fan. That's how it should be. Yeah. However, Shooter's accusation of plagiarism and his overbearing attitude of malevolence sends Rainey scattering to prove his innocence. As Rainey's evidence disappears, his sanity and safety go along with it, and soon he is approaching a reckoning with the determined Shooter. Besides a few audible page turns, James Wood offers a compelling reading, eliciting...
Oh, James Wood does it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the stress and anxiety building up in Rainey
That's
as he
so cool.
as he comes
Go
unraveled.
Audible.
Yeah, do that one. That's awesome.
There's a slight whiny pitch to Wood's voice that also makes him a good match for Rainey, of course.
Oh, yeah. I love James Wood.
In the 1991 recording, taken
that was a
from
while
King's
ago.
4 Past Midnight, is making a belated debut. After all this time.
Yeah.
But basically, what it is a
That's
guy.
fantastic.
Guy writes a book. Another guy, says,
So, okay.
"You did it," and then
A lot of King's stories are based on his nightmares. This one
that's
was
a gnarly nightmare.
this one. Okay, so this one was a combination because this was actually based on something that happened in real life.
Yeah.
and a nightmare.
Yeah.
So in real life, in the 70s, there was a movie that was directed by Martin Scorsese called Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver was about a Marine who had returned from Vietnam, Travis Bickle, and it was played by Robert De Niro.
Right.
And he becomes disenfranchised with just reality. And he has a
PTSD.
hard time, PTSD. What we now know as PTSD, but what they called back then
Shell-shocked.
shell-shocked.
Right.
So Travis Bickle takes a job because he has insomnia driving taxis. And he becomes enamored with 2 different women. One is a campaign employee for the local senator. The other one is a young prostitute played by Jodie Foster.
Floozy.
And the campaign employee is played by Sybil Shepherd. So he starts creating these fantasies in his mind where he's going to save Jodie Foster from her evil pimp Harvey Keitel. And by doing that, he's going to impress Sybil Shepherd by killing the senator that she's working for. So at the end of the movie, he does this great dramatic hallway scene where he just shoots like 10 people in the most brutal way. So, make a long story short, the writer was in his office about 6 months to a year after the movie premiered, and it got great reviews. It was one of the highest grossing movies of the year. He's in his office, and a young man in a fatigue jacket comes in, demands to know why the writer and Scorsese have been following him. And he starts getting irate. The writer, I can't think of his name, tries to calm him down. He explains, he asks him what he means. The young man tells him that Taxi Driver is him. Why are you writing a story about me? Why are you following me?
Yeah.
And the guy tells him again, like, it's just a story. Like, I'm sorry if you feel like it, if it spoke to you in such a way that you feel it is you.
Similar to that movie with Will Ferrell.
Any relation to persons living or fictional is purely coincidental.
No, what was that movie with Will Ferrell? Simple Twist of Fate or whatever it was, or Strange Fiction.
Stranger Than Fiction.
Stranger Than Fiction. It's kind of like that.
This is this gets much darker. So the man leaves.
Simple Twist of Fate. What is it thinking about?
So the man leaves.
Jeez.
About 2 months later, the writer is watching television when breaking news: president has been shot. Don't know his condition. He might be dead.
Right.
They show a picture of the man who shot him, John Hinckley.
Yeah.
This is the same man that came into his office. John Hinckley shot Reagan because he felt that it would impress Jodie Foster and because he felt that the man had written a story of his life. And like, that's what I have to do. I have to shoot Reagan.
Right.
And
Out of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was Stephen King knowing this story, had a nightmare about another man who arrived at his, main house and demanded recompense for
Because
messing up one of his stories.
Yeah.
And so that was what Stephen King based that.
And in that movie, in the book, Secret Window, Secret Garden, it's like, guy comes, says, basically it's just like, you stole my story, and then he tries to clear his name. And I guess I should have just went with that instead of reading the whole thing. But yeah, guy comes and says, you stole my story. And then, he tries to...
Author tries to clear his name. And all his evidence just keeps disappearing.
And the people just start disappearing. Like, it's pretty gnarly. I should have just led with that. Because that's like the easiest way I can explain it. But yeah, and it's great. Like,
it's fantastic.
And I have read that one. And that one I was really into. But that's not so much horror as it is,
suspense.
The ending is
the funny thing about
pretty
Stephen,
horrific.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, the funny thing about Stephen King is that he doesn't. Some of his best horror novels, like Cujo, which I think fantastic. I feel like Cujo was kind of his homage to The Birds.
Okay.
And whether or not that's true, not even Stephen King could tell you, because he was doing a bunch of like cocaine and drugs at the time. He says he doesn't remember writing that book. He says
but it's there.
He read it and he's like, I don't remember any of this. So,
all right.
And like Cujo is one of his highest rated. I think it's like it and The Shining and Cujo, maybe Salem's Lot in there as well. Would be, Pet Sematary. Those are like his biggest. Misery. It's hard to. But Cujo was one of his biggest horror novels.
He's got a lot of
and
weird
then
stuff.
And then I forget about Carrie and Christine and.
Like, did you ever read his short story? Sometimes They Come Back.
Yeah.
Did you ever read that one?
No.
It's like, dude's like a teacher, right? He's like a teacher or something like that, and a bunch of high schoolers like die or whatever, and then he starts feeling like
that sucks.
Like they're like showing back up and like
in class,
returning to his class.
Like he's taking roll and they're saying present. Oh Lord, that's
wild. That's wild. It's a short story. It's awesome.
So they make his short stories into movies a lot. Like 1408 was a short story.
That was amazing though.
I
loved it.
Rose Red was
Rose
also
Red,
a short
that was
story.
a short story too. Yeah.
Cat's Eyes,
Yeah.
short story.
Dude, 1408 was gnarly.
1408 was
1408
fantastic.
was gnarly.
That came from his
like the movie, too.
collection of it was called Everything's Eventual. Yeah. And there was one story in Everything's Eventual, and it eventually got made into it was an episode when they rebooted the Twilight Zone. Do you remember? And Forrest Whitaker was hosting.
Yeah.
In like the 2000s, early 2000s. They did Everything's Eventual as one of the episodes.
Oh. I never don't think I've seen that one.
And it was
freaky.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
other
the
thing.
great majority of it
is
is.
that it just like H.P. Lovecraft, because all of H.P. Lovecraft's novels happen in the same universe. All of Stephen King's novels, both horror and otherwise, the Green Mile.
Oh my gosh, I love the Green Mile.
Green Mile,
God, I love that.
Shawshank.
good movie.
those all happen.
Oh, I love Shawshank too. Yeah.
Those all happen in the same universe,
Right.
The Dark Tower universe.
Yeah. Before we continue, I have to read this thing. Sure.
Okay.
So, I want to remind everyone that this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Audible. Thank you, Audible, for supporting this episode of the Really Likable Geeks podcast. It is fitting because we are talking about books specifically in this episode.
Yeah, have someone read some Lovecraft to you.
Yeah, I'm going to listen.
Fantastic.
Audible has an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original shows, news, and more that you can listen to on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or standard MP3 player. For our audience, Audible is offering a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. We recommend to you Frankenstein. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which you can keep even if you cancel. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/RLG and browse their unmatched selection of audio content. It is that easy. audibletrial.com/RLG. Again, that's audibletrial.com/RLG. Go get you guys some books.
Yeah.
Get some books. It's Halloween time.
Get some of those H.P. Lovecraft
Get
like
some of
radio
those.
dramas. They're so great.
All right.
So I started browsing around on Audible, just real quick. I started browsing around on
I'm
Audible.
waiting for a long time.
There's, like, I started buying those murder mystery audiobooks.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Just
too.
like the old, like, ones from the 60s.
Yeah, the pulp ones.
Yeah. I'm going to have some of those playing
okay.
during Halloween.
No,
Play some of
dude,
those during
dude.
Halloween.
I mean, I plugged. What was it? 2-3 weeks ago, I did. I did one.
Yeah.
For the book of the week.
Yeah.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah, they're great.
Quick side
The long
thing
goodbye.
before I
I'm
go.
going to let you go, man.
The
Go
long
ahead.
goodbye.
Quick side before I go into what I was gonna do.
so sorry.
You said murder mysteries.
Yeah.
I have like two of them. The like murder mystery dinners.
Yeah.
I have two of them in my closet. We should totally do them.
I'm down.
That would be so cool.
It'd be fantastic.
That'd be
It would.
fantastic.
I have like two of them. I should totally plan one.
Matt,
Anyway,
I cut you off a long time ago.
I know.
Hit
I've
it
been
up,
waiting
boy.
for this for a while. We've been talking about some greats. Like Stephen King is a massive. He's like the
honestly, quintessential.
He
one
is
of
the
them.
quintessential horror author. But
I'd say Lovecraft, but
Well,
fair.
okay.
I will give you that.
One of, I
But
would
if you ask the general populace,
oh yeah,
Like I say, Stephen
yeah,
King.
they're gonna always say Stephen
the
King.
Schlockmeister, as he calls himself.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say I'm gonna throw it back like 25, maybe 20 years ago. Do you guys remember Goosebumps?
R.L. Stein. Yeah. Dude, those scared the
R.L.
crap out of
Stein.
me when I was
Like,
a kid.
I mean, they weren't really truly scary.
The Mask was scary.
Bro,
there were some
The
conce-
Mask was
Okay,
scary.
Say
yes.
Cheese and Die was scary.
Slappy.
You know what? Never mind. R.L. Stein was freaky as all
The
freaking
tower.
he was.
The Tower of Terror.
The Tower of Terror.
Never mind. R.L. Stein was
He was
horrible.
creepy.
That
Dude,
was-
Say Cheese and Die. You took a photo and then you died. Bad things happened. Like, that was gnarly.
What was the camp? Camp Sleepaway.
Camp Sleepaway or
And it was all ghosts. It was all ghosts in the camp.
R.L. Stein was gnarly.
They were all zombie ghosts.
I'm older,
Ugh.
and I know I could read those and be like, huh. But they were still crazy.
They were both because they were corporeal. You could like touch them. Like one of them.
All the kids thought they were just at camp, but surprise!
No, it was only at Camp Sleepaway. It was two of the kids
Yeah.
were actually alive.
Oh, freaking-
But they,
And
but
the
they
other
thought it
ones
was,
were all
They thought it
dead.
was just fine. Everything was fine. They were just at camp with all the other kids. But all
Night
the other kids
of the
were
Living
dead.
Dummy.
Yeah,
They were zombies.
Slappy.
Yeah.
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 That was
I'm gonna go
that was
through
the
some of
kid
these.
version of Chucky.
Yeah.
Slappy.
Yeah.
That was
They
the-
made multiple books for that
Oh, yeah,
one.
that
Yeah. Let's see. One
Like,
day
okay,
a
so-
horror land.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The Beast from the East.
Yeah, the
Looking-
Beast from the East.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Oh, what
looking
was
back
the-
now
what was-
as an
what was the-
adult,
what was
they're
the-
not really all that scary. But as a kid,
No,
some of those
them are so
concepts,
freaky, man.
Some
What
of
was,
those
what was the
concepts
one?
were
What was
really
the one where the
freaky.
kid was going into like the old lady's basement?
Oh, I don't remember the title, but I remember that book.
Yeah,
That was not cool. No.
She had a bunch of other kids.
Yeah.
in jars.
That was like some
Jars.
Hansel and Gretel stuff, except
Yeah.
not quite like
it was
oven
like
status.
Hansel and Gretel mixed with Dahmer.
But yeah,
What was that one?
I'm trying to
I
find
don't
it.
remember the name.
Freaked me right
But
the hell
oh.
out.
And I think what really did it is
No,
the
we're
book-
gonna stay on this for a minute.
Well, no, like
this
I think,
is great.
I think what really did it was the books were aimed,
I live in your basement.
I live in your basement.
Yeah.
the books were aimed at kids,
You remember the
so
book
they
cover?
weren't
Yes,
as terrifying per se, but everything that was happening to children. So as you're reading this, it's like, well, this could be me. This could be my
Yeah,
best friend.
Because when I was reading Goosebumps,
I could go into a photo booth with my buddy
Ah.
and die.
I mean, at the same time I was reading Goosebumps, I was also reading like Hardy Boys and Boxcar Kid.
Yes, I remember the boxcar children.
Like that was like some vanilla stuff.
Yes, it was.
Dude,
and then Goosebumps.
Welcome
was,
to Dead House.
yeah.
Which one was that?
Goosebumps. Welcome to Dead House. It was like one of the first like super gnarly ones.
Which one was
It was the story of the Benson family and their new home in Dark Falls. Come to find out,
was
everyone in
Amityville.
new town is a zombie,
Yeah.
and that every year they require new blood.
Oh, the sacrifice.
That
That
fresh
was-
blood
that
comes
was,
from tricking families into moving into the dead house and
Yes.
then murdering them.
That was
What?
that was the one that was a mixture of Amityville and Shirley Jackson's The Lottery,
Yes.
like
Oh,
in a freaky way.
It came from beneath the sink was gnarly too. That was the one about the killer sponge thing.
yeah, that sponge thing.
Yeah.
It was like some mold or
Oh, Curse of Camp Cold Lake.
yes,
Yeah.
that was the one.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Camp Sleepaway.
I don't know.
What is Camp- Oh, you know what? Camp Sleepaway was.
Save that for the movie one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
I
the
didn't know
haunted
about
mask, dude.
On mask.
Oh,
Dude, I remember
that
the
was
cover from
scary.
It Came Under the Sink. It was like the two doors, but they were just barely open.
Is this one with the eyes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they were open. They were way open then.
Yeah.
I remember it being just barely
Freaking
open.
sponge.
But just the eyes. Ah.
Freak out. Yeah, let's see. A Night in Terror Tower.
Yep. That was the one where the kids
The
were like.
Scarecrow
yes.
walks at midnight. That was scary too.
Terror Tower was the one where the two kids were actually like a prince and princess who had been like thrown to the future to like
Yeah.
escape the evil like
A
uncle.
wave of
Oz.
rats nearly overtakes the two kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're in like the Tower of London with all the torture devices.
The horror at Camp Jelly Jam. That was a scary one too.
Beast from the East.
Yeah,
Beast from the East
Beast
was
from the East
eerie.
was pretty brutal.
That was fantastic.
That was kind of like
So great.
mind screwing.
He
R.L. Stein.
That
Oh,
guy must
Stein.
have been crazy too.
He wrote it for kids.
I know.
He wanted to scare kids.
And honestly, I mean,
They've got to learn sometimes.
you
give me
mentioned this.
give me yo chitlins. I'm
You
gonna
mentioned
scare
this.
them.
I don't remember if it was 2 episodes ago or 3 episodes ago, but you were mentioning like horror literally target. Oh no, it was the gaming episode. It was 2 episodes ago. Like Five Nights at Freddy.
Yeah.
Horror targeted at children. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a pretty good concept.
I mean,
have you guys ever read the dark story of Pinocchio?
yeah.
You guys ever read that one?
That was
Have you
weird.
ever
Like
heard
the
of that?
real.
Like
the
where
actual-
he like smashes Jiminy Cricket with a mallet
Yeah.
and stuff.
So the actual.
The actual
Yeah.
Pinocchio.
I mean, the Disney one is still pretty messed
yeah.
And some- yeah.
The,
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
that Pleasure Island with all the kids. That's messed up.
up. That's what I'm saying.
It's all just a huge.
Yeah,
like,
but even
I'm
then,
gonna see-
like
I'm gonna see. Look at a couple
morality.
more here.
if you look at what Disney does with
Ghost Beach,
with most
dude.
of their like
That was a scary one too.
I
I
you
don't
know
know where
what
they're
though?
getting 'em from.
Remember the actual episode of
Yeah.
it? It was
Yeah.
awful.
It was terrible. Well, all of them were terrible.
Disney likes to have the happy endings, and if you look at the general like fables and stuff,
Most
They
most
don't.
most Grimm's fairy tales end badly.
they don't end in happy.
Oh yeah, Monster Blood. I remember that one too. Oh yeah, yeah. That one was It was about that putty or whatever that turns people into
So
giants.
it's not
Yes.
just
Yeah.
it's not just horror books or media that's targeted towards children. It's also board games. Because
Yeah.
if you really think about like some of the board games that we played like when we were kids,
Monopoly, that was torture.
the economics of capitalism.
Oh, I was just thinking how long it took. It was torture.
No. I'm talking about specifically Clue.
Do you remember this one?
Yeah. I remember the cover. What was it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still on Goosebumps because
So-
I'm like, ooh, Goosebumps.
So literally,
Yeah, I had a great one there.
literally in Clue, and this is a game for children.
Someone dies.
Someone is dead and murdered.
Yeah.
And the job of the players is to
Figure out which
solve
of the
the
other
mystery.
players
Yeah.
murked someone.
Yeah.
murdered Mr. Body.
And it's always Mr. Colonel Mustard with the pipe in the kitchen. It's always something
Really?
weird. like
I always
that.
thought it was Professor Plum in the candle with the
In the
candlestick
conservatory.
well, it's usually library for me.
I know it's always Colonel Mustard with like a freaking rope in the library.
It was usually
no one,
candlestick
no one
in the
ever
library.
got killed with the revolver.
Which is weird because it was the easiest one to be
easiest
like an
thing to
actual
kill.
weapon.
Somebody
to
would
just
hear it
bop.
though. Somebody would hear it.
I guess, but it's
Bam!
just-
What was that?
that's the
That's
easiest-
true. A revolver.
It was a big mansion.
Fair enough.
True,
With
but
secret
like
passages.
In
You
space, no one can hear you scream. Those kind of thing.
you would think a revolver firing would definitely be a good clue to what the weapon was.
right? The murder weapon was
The
two
lead
pieces
pipe.
of wood smashing
It was,
together.
it was the lead pipe. Yeah, lead pipe. Sorry,
Lead
guys.
pipe.
lead pipes.
Candlestick. Who murders people?
It
with
was
a
the rope
candlestick?
smacking together.
How would you?
You bashed them over the head until
I mean,
they died.
Those candlesticks were real in the Victorian era.
Oh, like a lit candle, and I'm just shoving it in his face. There was a knife.
There was a
was.
knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying with the candle.
With
Was-
the
well,
candle.
no, it's like
They needed to have
so
like
the
abstract
very,
stuff,
very
like the
large,
bookcase
like,
that fell on someone.
Yeah.
sturdy,
Oh, okay.
like the sconce practically that you would place a candle on. It's not so much.
No,
the
it was a
thick
freestanding
sconce ones.
candlestick.
It's the skinny candles, but it's
It
still
was a big brass
It's
candlestick.
this tall and it's metal. You can bash someone with it, and after a few hits, you could probably do the deed.
So I think there's been a lot
I wouldn't know.
of really great horror board games actually based, I guess, off Clue entirely because there's not really a horror board game before Clue. Ouija.
Oh gosh, I stay away from that stuff now, man.
That's so okay. Here's another thing where
Oh, dude, Betrayal at House on the Hill was fantastic too. That's newer, but
yeah,
yeah.
but
I was just
the
reading, but
Ouija
yeah.
board is another thing
See,
where
I don't even like talking
Ouija
about
board or
boards.
Luigi board?
here's the thing. For people that don't know,
Audio.
for people that don't know this, the Ouija board was created by Milton Bradley
Yeah,
in 1918. It has absolutely no historical reference
To anything occult.
to anything occult
yeah,
at all. But just like the Necronomicon, it became so popularized
Right.
in an age where we don't have instant access to all data
right.
that people it's like the man who shot Liberty Valance. Once the legend becomes fact, print the legend.
Right.
Your name is Mud.
The Ouija board is about as occult as my beer stein.
Yeah.
It has absolutely nothing to do with anything.
I have dabbled with the Ouija board. But I have had
garbage.
some weird juju happen with it though, but I don't really know how to explain
Okay,
it.
I can though. I can explain it for you.
Psychology.
No, I can straight up legit explain this for you.
It freaks me out, man, because I've had some weird stuff.
No, it's not even ghosts. We covered this.
I feel
actually
like sick,
like 3
even just
months
talking
ago.
about it though, like legitimately, like I don't.
Aliens.
Alien.
I legitimately though, I don't know what it is, but I've had some weird experiences, like when I used to mess with the Ouija board, like years when I was hanging out with Danny all the time. I was living with Danny.
Oh, so frisbee time, like those frisbee years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just like, I don't know. I've had some weird stuff happen, and like it literally makes me sick to like think about like
Really?
just weird stuff. Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't really want to talk about it. Like it's
Save
just-
it for the other
I'll save it
episode.
for one of the other episodes. I'll tell you guys some stuff off podcast, but it's just like I messed with it for a while. I don't know if it was a Ouija board per
So
se
it-
or what we were
It
doing with
felt
it.
like it got too real.
But no, definitely, like very much so. And like it's to a point where people are like Ouija boards, haha. It literally like makes me sick and like sends chills all over because like I have seen and experienced some stuff with a Ouija board multiple times and like.
But
and
you
I
know,
can't-
but I mean, you know the history that it has
Oh, I do.
no basis
Oh, I do.
in
That's-
any
so
occult.
that's why it messes
So the
with
Ouija
me.
board itself has absolutely no basis in the occult, but the fact that what
prior
happened
to like
happened
the 20th century.
is what's freaky.
Oh, very much so.
Okay.
You know, as most people are like, I actually had some stuff. You knew Danny.
Yeah.
I could call him up and he would vouch
Do it.
out of nowhere. Like
Bet.
he would.
Do it.
He would. We've just
kidding.
had some weird stuff happen, you know, and it's just like, and some really like pretty scary stuff. And just talking about a Ouija board, even just like,
Well,
just messes
then
with
a
me,
couple
man.
weeks from now, we're gonna make you spill the beans.
We're gonna get a Ouija board.
Oh, But for now,
On camera.
let's jump ahead.
But I know what you're saying, and I
let's,
agree.
Let's jump into
you were talking about the board game
non-scary
Clue.
board games.
I want to know where you were going with that from Clue. You
Yeah.
were saying.
We're
That,
going
that
there,
there's
too.
a lot of fantastic horror-based board games.
So what do you got? Because I'm drawing a blank on a lot of them.
One of
I
my
only have
favorite.
a few.
I mean, there's tons that are just based on Lovecraft. Elder Sign,
Okay.
Oh,
which
Elder
is a
Sign's great.
fantastic board game.
Yeah.
We played that,
It's
didn't
a
we?
Yes, we
press.
did.
It's
Yeah, that was
a
fun.
press your luck dice game where you try and defeat a randomly drawn elder god before they can awaken, and you do this by investigating
Sealing them back up.
You do this by investigating the various rooms at Miskatonic University's campus grounds, and by finding elder signs, the number of which is required to put the sleeping elder gods back to sleep.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you got to fight them, and then you dead because,
Yeah, because
And
you
then
don't,
you
you don't
did.
beat Elder
you
Gods.
can't fight Cthulhu.
No.
He would mess you up.
Or the God in Yellow.
Oh yeah, the King in Yellow.
Oh, King in Yellow. My bad. Yeah,
Yeah, you can't say his name.
I didn't.
That was
Another
There's a
game,
reason I
bad
didn't.
a game that we played, Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter, which is another. It's a
Yeah?
fantastic.
That
If
zombie.
you if you guys
that game is hard.
if you
that game
guys
is hard.
It's not when you're the bad guy. That was easy.
God.
Just
Dead
let
of-
you all die.
Dead of Winter is a fantastic board game. If you guys are a fans of anything having to do with zombies, like Walking Dead, or anything good, no, nothing.
I got it. It just wasn't
right.
Oh, I got it. I just
So if you're a
ignored it.
fan of anything zombies, Dead of Winter is a great board game. Basically,
If you're a fan of losing, it's also a great board game.
because you will.
it's very difficult.
It's hard.
Go
So-
play Pandemic. You've got a better chance of winning.
Dead of Winter is it's a game where the players are collectively part of a colony, a compound, during the zombie apocalypse, and they need to work together to accomplish certain tasks.
And therein lies
Like
the problem.
finding food, weapons, keeping away zombies that are attacking the compound, and various other things. They also have crises that come up, either a food shortage, food spoilage, you're running out of gasoline,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
You ran out of
and everyone
food.
needs to kind of work together in order to progress and win the game. Unfortunately, there is a traitor in the compound. For whatever reason, this person has something against everyone else at the colony
And wants to see them all die.
and wants to see them all dead
Yeah.
and eaten by zombies.
Sure.
So it's
You were the one traitor last time, weren't you?
no, Matt was.
Oh, it was you. That's
No,
right.
you
I
accused
suspected
me.
you. Yeah. Sorry.
Which was super easy. As soon as they had you to riots, I was like, oh, cool.
The other thing I will say about Dead of Winter is it is the game of a million pieces.
Yeah, there are way
There
too
are
many pieces.
so
a million pieces.
many
in that
I thought
box.
Lords of
pieces in that
Waterdeep had a lot
game.
of pieces.
There are so many pieces
Nope.
in that box. But if you take the time to put them together, because every single zombie is on a stand, on a little
Yeah.
plastic stand.
There's a lot
It's
of
a
things.
cardboard cutout.
Visually is fantastic and terrifying when you see like zombies about to overrun the compound
And it's
they're
like
just
little
everywhere.
hordes.
Because at the start of the game, round one, you're supposed to survive, 8, 9, 10 rounds, and you have to achieve your objective. And it's usually close to the end when you achieve the objective or don't. But your first round, 2 rounds, you've got a zombie here, a zombie there. You walk over there, roll.
Zombie everywhere.
Shoot a zombie. Yeah, it's cool. By the 6th, 7th round, you've got more zombies than you have bullets, and you're starting to be like, oh, this is bad. Like, you're doing the math, realizing we lose in 2 rounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Another game, I looked it up to make sure I get it right. But I don't know if you guys ever played it, but it's called Level 7 Escape.
No.
All right, so let me read the synopsis on this one for you how to do it, because this
Okay.
is great, and we should definitely
And it's
play
a
this
board
sometime.
game?
Yeah,
I'm down. Let's do it.
Fantastic. So, Level 7 is about managing fear itself. The game puts 1 to 4 players in control of a hapless human trying to escape a facility where aliens and shadowy government figures are experimenting on civilians.
Nice.
Plays out similarly to Betrayal at House on the Hill,
Which I'll go
with
into
players
next.
like flipping random tiles and stuff.
Right.
And like when you flip them, it creates like a map.
Yeah.
Almost like as you flip the tiles.
We played it,
Um,
and I have it.
It's true.
and some have positive effects, some have negatives, and like you heal you get items or whatever. And then some really bad events where you have to complete some sort of challenge or risk harm to yourself and others. The game offers a series of scenarios chronicling the character stories from waking up after being spewed out of a containment tank to the final confrontation with the alien scientists running the facility. Each level has its own objective. Some simple, like finding the elevator that will take you to the next floor, and some complex, like engineering ways to make those aliens and human soldiers fight so you can steal uniforms needed to pass yourself off as staff. Like, it's pretty insane. So your fear level is the game's defining resource. Your terrified characters are faster and stronger, while calm ones can think more rationally. Aliens find human fear delicious and are drawn to the most terrified things on the board, which is usually your character, but can be the soldiers if you engineer the situation well enough. You can play cards to raise or lower your fear levels, which can counteract enemy actions or increase one of your skills needed for a challenge. You're constantly changing the game's equilibrium, but the randomness of the event cards and exploration tiles can disrupt even the best laid plans and send aliens scurrying through the ducts to devour you or throw the whole facility into lockdown mode, so you have to make a mad dash for the exit before time runs out. Casualties are common, but if you get killed or left behind, you can just choose some new random traits for your character and start the next level as a fresh face on equal footing with your party. So it gets pretty intense because your everything's great and you flip a tile, suddenly it's just like all hell has broke loose, and you set out this amazing plan to get where you have been, and that amazing plan just caused your death, like and everyone else's death. Like, it's crazy and it's hard, and it's like the sense of just like flipping a tile, but
Sounds fun.
it's gnarly.
Here's
Very good game.
Here's a fantastic.
Check it out.
It's not necessarily. It's a tabletop game.
Okay, let me hear it.
It is absolutely terrifying.
I think I know where you're going.
It's
with this.
probably one of the scariest games that I've ever played in my life,
Okay.
and for good reason, because it's true. Because it borders with reality.
Candyland.
Actually, yeah.
The molasses swamp is real.
I was thinking Shoots and Ladders. That
No,
slide on
it's-
number 99.
It's because this could actually happen in real life is what makes this game so scary. And it's a rules light RPG. Let me just read. It's 2-page RPG, so it's very rules light for people that don't know a lot about role playing or Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
This is really a great introduction, and it's horror themed. So
Yay!
This is how low. Wait, what?
you're walking in the woods.
Okay.
There's no one around, and your phone is dead. Out of the corner of your eye, you spot him.
Shia
LaBeouf.
Is he about 30 feet
He
back?
gets down on all fours and breaks into a sprint. He's gaining on you.
Shia LaBeouf.
So the premise of the game is that you are one of the unlucky ones. You have been caught up in a deadly struggle with Shia LaBeouf.
Wait, which Shia LaBeouf?
Shia surprise.
Is it actual cannibal?
It is actual
Shia
cannibal
LaBeouf?
Shia
Oh, that's the worst.
Is this a real game?
Band together.
Is this a real
Band
game?
together with other strangers to escape, outwit, and possibly even kill Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf. This is an actual game.
This is a real game?
Yeah.
I thought this was a joke.
So all you need
Sit down, man.
all you need for character creation is a name, a brief description of your character, an item you have in your possession. Generally, people just play as themselves because that's the
Pencil.
easiest way. So
John Smith.
your character can be anyone,
Snow.
unless the Shia Master
Oh, you know
or
nothing.
SM in this game
Ooh, I love it.
specifically stipulates it during an action. Your general fitness and body shape won't limit you in any particular way. The item in your possession can be virtually anything with the exception of the following: a working cell phone, or other communication device, large quantities of ammo, items that immediately and completely resolve the situation,
Nukes.
and paper bags with which to trap Shia LaBeouf.
Paper bags.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What if?
Okay.
What if it's a
Because he
cell
can't
phone?
act his way out of a wet paper bag. That's not a joke.
That's legit.
That's what it says
That
in the
is
rules.
great.
Okay. What if?
It says that in the rules for this game.
What if you have a cell phone that can't communicate, but you can Google?
No, your phone's dead.
Working cell phone.
But like only Google. So you can look things up, but you can't communicate with anyone. But you can just look things up.
So each character begins with 5 blood tokens.
Oh
that
my
represents
gosh.
like your health.
We're gonna
or
play
HP.
this.
This sounds great.
As you're attacked and move through various challenges, you will lose blood tokens when your Shia Master requires it.
Shia
Roll
Master.
a d6, just normal dice. If the number is equal or greater than your current number of blood tokens, you lose one, which is discarded into the center of the table. Once you lose all 5, the next attack will be fatal.
Wow,
the
that's a
only
lot easier to
goal
die.
is to survive and escape the scenario you are in. Shia LaBeouf will hunt you as long as you remain in the vicinity. The item you have can possibly aid you in some way, though your SM will determine how helpful it is in a given situation.
Ooh, I love it. I'm already on board.
Let's play this.
Right?
See, I had a board game too, and it's not nearly as fun as this.
Go
I
for
had
it.
the. I was gonna throw out the, and I don't want to call it the quintessential because it's not, but it's been made so many times. I want to say there's 15 or 16 expansions to it.
Dang.
And they're not really expansions, they're remakes of the same game, just differently. The game is called Zombies. That's literally the name. It's Zombies with a few exclamation points.
Breaking
at
new
the end
ground
of it.
there, Copernicus. Jeez.
It's the game is supposed to play like a normal zombies flick. It's a movie. And it's similar to the one you were saying. You flip tiles. Somewhere near the bottom is the tile that has the helicopter landing pad on it.
Right.
Each tile spawns more zombies, but some have health or bullets, and you move your little piece through. The first one to reach the helicopter when it finally shows up is the winner. If you live that long. But there's more. There's tons of expansions that have different. The main original game is just a snowy city, but there's more expansions, and I even have one that's called Medieval. It's the same game and the same concept. You
I think
flip tiles.
we played this.
We haven't yet because it's still wrapped up in plastic. But
Oh.
it plays like
right, that sounds
it
familiar.
plays like Army of Darkness, where it's medieval times and you've got skeleton army running around, and your goal is to survive and beat up the skeletons.
Things happen. I don't know. I dropped my phone.
But it's pretty
Yeah,
fun.
we saw.
And heard, probably. That sounds awesome. Let's play that.
I want to play Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Another really fantastic.
Okay, quick question.
Yep.
Do I know jujitsu?
You can. That can be your one thing.
Well, I was just saying because in the song, everyone knows jujitsu.
That one specific person that Rob is singing to.
That's fair. But he has an axe. What if that's his one thing?
Because he was in the cabin. The axe was in the cabin.
I guess. Fine.
Did you even listen to the song?
I did.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia, surprise!
But you know jujitsu.
Fantastic. If you guys,
Normal Tuesday night for
you guys-
What game were you
Shia
going to say?
LaBeouf.
You were
if
saying.
you guys want to know how the game runs, one shot
Yeah.
podcast do a fantastic job of doing that game.
I mean, they do a lot of
They
great
do a
jobs
lot
with
of
their
great
podcasts.
stuff. You know.
Their gameplays are great.
Yes,
Yeah,
They're
but this one
amazing.
is especially.
We love you, James and Kat. You guys rock.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Seriously.
But another really fantastic and very rules light. Everyone knows how to play this game. Is Dread.
Yep.
Dread.
We're going to play.
You only need one thing for a game of Dread.
Two
Jenga.
things.
That is a Jenga tower.
And the other one is an imagination.
Some people don't have that.
I know, which is why I said two things.
Anyways, Dread runs. Dread runs like a horror story. Basically, you have one person
is
telling the story,
Terrifying.
and the other people are the main characters in it,
Victims.
or victims.
They're not main characters, they're victims.
Victims.
This is terrifying. Your heart rate will go through the roof.
So, just for an example, the first game of Dread I ever played with Matt, I believe
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods.
Werewolves.
werewolves. because I went very.
you told me about this
I went very basic and very simple because it was everyone else's first
So
time playing it.
Stuart has done this before, and he's mentioned that if you ever play a game of Dread, the whole concept behind Dread is the characters get bottled. There is really no escape. There's either victory or death. And so we're bottled in this cabin in the woods. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's nowhere to run because there's no road anywhere within an hour or so. And there's werewolves. So even if we did run, we're not going to outrun them. And they're bigger and they're faster and they eat us.
They're bigger. They're stronger. They have more facial hair.
I think, and one of our friends who was playing with us, because I had a guide who was, hiking them to the cabin where they would be staying.
Right.
The guide was wounded pretty quickly because, just story.
As you do.
And
It's meant to drag us along the story.
Right.
yeah. And I think
I didn't go for that bait.
immediately
I stayed in the
after
cabin.
she got hurt, one of the guys we were playing with was just like, screw it, leave her. I was like, wow, really?
I remember you
That
telling me
is
about this.
cold. So anyways, you play this game and I describe the situation and then the players will tell me what they want to do. Now, depending on if you want to do something like, oh, I want to go looking for this, or I want to run here, or I want to hide here.
There's horrible monsters at the back door clawing their way in.
You
Let's block it with a
need
couch.
to pull a brick out of that Jenga
Yep.
tower. Sometimes you need to pull more than one brick, depending on how difficult the thing you're
Yep.
trying to accomplish is.
Yeah.
And while you're trying to pull that brick, I am going to be narrating the horrible things that are slowly,
Creeping up on
inexorably getting closer.
You want to block
you.
that door with a couch because this horrible monster that you kind of sort of saw one eye of and a bunch of claws at the door was trying to claw its way in? Well, while you're pulling that brick, Stuart's going to talk to you about how you're pushing the couch over there, but it's a little slow going, and you can hear the claws scraping away at this single panel wooden door, and you can hear chips of wood flying off. And as you get the couch even closer to the door, but not quite where it needs to be yet, punctures are starting to show. Claws are getting through. It's really close to coming through. Like, if you don't get that couch there soon, it's going to get through the door. Meanwhile, you're still trying to pull this brick. And so
Yeah.
he's forcing you to think you have to go faster than you do. The entire time you're pulling a brick from a Jenga tower, which is already causing you
Nerve-wracking.
a subconscious, I can't screw it up, sense of dread.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's a great.
We're going to play it.
It's
is
a great use of the.
terrifying.
There will be episodes with that.
transitive psychology where
It is
the
beautifully done.
we're all just sitting around a table and you're pulling a brick from a tower.
Yeah.
But if you
But-
knock the tower over, you're dead.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Then they get through and you die.
You know on a deeper point that I'm going to be fine, but
Right.
because I'm narrating the story and you're in it and it's real and
Because it's not your character. The way Stuart runs it is you're you.
you are you.
Yeah.
Because I feel
It's
like
me.
that's more terrifying.
You may see episodes of that very soon on one of our
It'll be
new
a
shows
lot of fun.
coming in soon.
Especially on our new table.
New table. So we
That
should
is
probably wrap
very
on that.
wobbly.
Wobbly sausage.
That's the other thing. If one of you, like if Matt's pulling a brick and you bump the table, you're dead.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Oh, cool.
We're gonna be fixing this table soon here. So
Steve's worried he might bump the table.
yeah. All right, we need to wrap up on that.
Yeah.
On that note,
So, horror books and board games. Lots of cool stuff to come with that.
Yeah.
A lot of things. I think they definitely coincide. Shia LaBeouf.
Shia surprise.
Thank you guys for listening to us rant and rave about, once again, because it's October, Halloween is on its way.
Spectacular.
Spoopy things. So, horror books and board games. Go play some games. Read some books. Get some stuff on Audible.
Have
Listen
someone
on
read
Audible.
some Lovecraft to you
Yes.
because
Scary
that will.
skeletons.
You know what? Have someone read some Lovecraft to you to go to bed,
And then sweet dreams.
and
You
maybe you'll end up
can-
with the next best author.
The day gone.
You can find the podcast on iTunes and Google Play. The links will be down here in the right-hand corner. You can find all of the links to that at reallylikablegeeks.com. To our Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everything. It's all direct link from there. Just go ahead and visit that link, reallikeablegeeks.com. You can find me on Twitter at that Stephen Brown.
If you still want to follow me after that horrible thing I said about Rocky Horror Picture Show earlier, you can find me at Believe the Weave.
You can find me at Stu_ no last name.
Loving Rocking Horror Picture Show.
Love it.
Thank you guys for listening to us rant
Let's
and
not.
rave and enjoy. What does that sound? Is that my phone?
Dave.
Cool. All right, bye.